Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5. That's how many times I've done started now. I got interrupted several times, but anyway. I'm not feeling so hot today, but I'm gonna keep on keeping on. Took the exhaust loose. On that real quick note, I want to share something with you on that. I've got an induction heater. I'm not going to drag it out of here now. For those of you that know what that is, you know, coils that can heat around a bolt head or a nut or something like that. Great tool, nothing in the world wrong with it. Nothing against the tool, but I want to just say, don't think for a second, and I mean don't think for a second that you will ever replace a cutting torch. The bolts and the exhaust, I had to cut them off. I fiddled with them for a better part of about 20-25 minutes. I finally had enough of it. I grabbed the torch, and 2 minutes later it was a done deal. You know, I replaced those bolts. As a matter of fact, I got bolts from the exchange motor anyway, so we can use those. But anyway, I just want to share that with you. I removed the cross member that goes, make sure that I'm pointing the right way. I got the screen forward. Goes up here. Of course, you have to unbolt your motor mount. Done that, and I took there's a bracket that bolts to the motor back here. I had kind of a hard time getting this cover plate out of here. That's why, because the bracket has to come off. So I did that. Those are 18 millimeters in the back. Hang on just a second. Let me get you in here, get you a shot of my cart here. Like I said, these are two 18s here, and then it was a 15 millimeter. No guarantee on that one. That's a 15 millimeter head on the front of this bracket. This thing here is so oily, and I don't know if it's been done before, or you name it, got no idea. So moving on with life. Let's unhook the motor mount here in the front, and I'm sure the camera picks up how nasty this thing really is. So it makes it hard. It's not that I'm trying to bitch about the nasty part of the engine right there. It's just, all I'm saying is it makes it hard to see things. It makes it hard to see how something is bolted on, and that would be wrong size. That could be a 16 or an 18 as well. Let's try 16. 16 is the ticket over here, and I'm sure that 16 will be the ticket over. Well, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, I had it right in the first place. That looked like a 15, because now I'm thinking it is a, oops, camera. Now I'm thinking it is 15 up here. Well, wrong again. Nasty. Like I said, that's what you get when you cannot see. 13. I don't know if these bolts been changed either. You know, like I said, I do not know. I have no idea. Doesn't matter. We'll move on with life. Alright, so that was a 13 millimeter head bolt. I'm almost afraid to tell you what it is now, because I'm suspecting these may be different bolts that were put in this vehicle. Let's hit on to the back over here right quick and see what we got going on. Harbor Freight, if you're listening, these brown lights, they're excellent. I love them lights. This button sucks. It really, really, really sucks. That button needs to be set inward to where when you grab the light, you don't accidentally hit that switch. All right, we've got one bolt to pull out over here. The rest of it appears to be coming from the top. Appears to be, not exactly my favorite word, but that's the word we're going to have to use. See what that is? Got no idea. Pretty covered in oil. I'm assuming 18. Yeah, that one is in fact 18, so. I need to get about in here. So about a 6-inch extension, 18mm socket. I'm going to use an extension with a wobble end just in case. Give us a little bit more flexibility. Now, keep in mind when you're doing this, the oil pan is right here. This is not going to be as easy. Matter of fact, it's going to be significantly harder with the oil pan in place. Now, make no mistake, with the oil pan removed, that makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to work on this thing. What I'm looking at here, this had water pouring out of it. I was just seeing that's probably from the back of the transmission. I'm not going to worry about that right this second. I think that's about it for this, for the bottom side. We'll lower this thing down. You know, I left the throttle body hanging. That's terrible. I mean, I don't see how that man could have run worth a hooch. So the customer is mechanically inclined, or so I'm being told. He's the one that actually pulled the transmission out of it. And I'm not making conversation. I'm explaining something to you. What we're doing here is doing an exchange only. I'm going to do an exchange, fill the engine up with oil. That is it. There are some parts that I have to transfer. I did not quote. I didn't put that in the quote. I'm not going to charge him for it, but just to be on the same page, be clear about this. All this is an exchange. Anything that's broken after the fact, I guess the customer is going to take care of that. You can't see nothing. There's a bolt back here. Let's see if you can. Yeah, okay. It's back here on the bracket, on the top of the bracket. So see if I can get this loose. Be careful beating around on that transmission plug-in right there where the transmission module is. I don't want to beat on that too hard. Don't accidentally slip and crush it. give you a close-up just how nasty that thing is. It is terrible. And I don't mean to harp on that. I'm just trying to give you some guidance. Nasty vehicle, you know, it's going to be harder to work on than a clean one any day of the week. So 1, 2, and possibly 3. So we want to use 8-inch extension. Maybe more, I don't know. See what that may be too much. Oh yeah. Try that one again there, buddy. That's way too much. So I think 6-inch would be too long. Now 6-inch in this case here will work. That one there is fairly loose. Seems to be working pretty good. Actually, that's still too long, guys. I don't know why I grabbed it. I had an idea that was too long. I guess it didn't have deep well sockets. I bet this will work. Camera, let me get my noggin out of the way. This is where I'm at, just on top right there. Of course, that's just about like every engine. Some exceptions, of course. And there should be one more. Should be able to get that when we lower the vehicle down. The only thing that I haven't done yet is I have not disconnected the fuel line. So I'm going to grab a fuel line tool as well and disconnect that, and that should be ready to be lifted out of here. I'm going to pause the camera up, I'm going to get a swig of coffee and turn the camera back on just a second. And before you crucify me on this, I've made that comment. I personally have never pulled out 3.3 out of one of these here. I've never done that before. The fuel line does have a disconnect built into it. Push forward, push in on the disconnect, and pull out. Alright, I'm going to rattle some cages real quick. Rattle some cages, step on some toes. Harbor Freight, cherry picker. What is that? 2 ton, 2 ton, yes. Unless you're planning on using it one time, well, let's back up. I'm going to call it this. It's a one-time use piece of crap. I've had to modify it here and there because I did use it a couple of times already. The quality on it is very poor. It's starting to twist up and teeter because it doesn't hold its geometry on the way it is constructed. So if you're planning on using it more than a couple of times, you might want to consider getting you something better than a Harbor Freight. Enough said. Now, with all the bolts removed, I think we are ready. I believe we are ready. I loosened up that last bolt back there and started undoing it. We're going to finish that off, of course, with the power tool once we get the chain on it. But I'm using the exhaust in the back. Not going to show that, and I'm going to wrap around the front right there. Get you back out of the way. Unfortunately, as you all know, I don't have that much room, so removing I'm probably not going to need it, but going back in, we might have to use a load equalizer. It's, I don't know if the camera shows it, but the thing is teetering. I don't know what's going on, don't care. It's a piece of crap. I hope it is apart. I thought it was because it started to come apart. Starting to question myself now. Everything's so very nasty. Covered with friggin' oil. You can't see nothing in this thing. I found the problem on the bottom corner. There's just a gob of oil, had a bolt under it. It's irritating, to say the least. Phew-wee. What a smell. Phew-wee. Sour. Oh, if you're a shop owner and you're looking for something, or a cherry picker, shop crane, whatever you want to call it, make sure you do have an air operated ram. That's in my opinion, that's a must. You sit there and pump and pump and pump and pump, not getting anywhere. This is nice and smooth. You see what's going on. Have a little bit of a look-see here, make sure that I did in fact unhook everything that needs to be unhooked. Like I said, this thing here just don't roll for crap, and then it's teetery, and these engines right here really don't weigh that much. Getting into V8s and all that good stuff, a whole different situation. And besides that, it's all the way moved to the very last hole, which is supposed to be 2 ton, and I don't think I would hang 2 ton on this thing. I'd be fearing for my life on that one. Anyway, only twists so. Oh, you can't see nothing. Sorry about that. So only twists so much. Engine assembly. as a whole. I'm going to show you this. Here's where I torch the bolts off. Of course, won't matter. Flip it toward the front. Of course, we done seen the front. This is what we're looking at on the very front. So, anyway, real quick, for those of you that are actually working in a shop environment, now, of course, that I work on basically on book time, but it is just me. Occasionally, when I have somebody helping me, of course, I pay them book time. I'm trying to stay within, obviously within the hours quoted, but I'm not too awful concerned about it to go over an hour or two. I'm not really worried about that, because it's not like a flat rate mechanic out there that has to, you know, these guys, they got to make a living. And I think that you guys out there that are not mechanics, you need to start understanding that, you know, just like in your job, they got to make money too. You know, they're techs and mechanics, you know, they're knowledgeable people, and they have to make a little bit of money. But anyway, moving on. Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the camera up, because what I'm doing now is pretty self-explanatory. I'm gonna look over the other engine, which is sitting over there. We done showed that part. I'm gonna see what we have to remove on this one. When you do put the engine in, real quick, so I don't forget, this flex plate, it's very important that you do not bend this part here. It's very important that that's a pickup that goes on that, and we don't need to bend that. Okay, so keeping that in mind, I'll inspect the other engine, see what all I got to exchange, and we'll go from there. And I'll turn the camera back on later on. Some of you may say, dang, he changes his mind a lot. I do that. And sometimes also when I explain things, you know, I kind of figured that, or I'm assuming a certain level of experience, you know. I don't always go into detail all that far, and I'm assuming a certain level of expertise, but take it as such, you know. I'm not perfect. I did look at the, and I'll get to the point here in a minute. I looked at the catalytic converter, took a peek into that right away. What I'm going to go ahead and do, actually, well, let me go ahead and pause the camera up real quick. I'm going to roll the engine over to the other side, and we're going to hit back up here, and we'll end the video here. I think that's probably the smart thing to do. We'll put it back together. We could put it all back together in part 4. Okay, let's see. Well, I would say it's probably going to be impossible for you to see. Anyway, take my word for it. The converter on this thing is stopped up. I'm going to let the customer know that. I mean, it's not stopped up, but it is in very poor condition. We're going to let the customer know that. I don't do that here. I give him the option of having it done local. There's a shop that I used to work at many moons ago that actually does that kind of work, and I'm gonna, if the customer decides to go ahead and slap one on there, which is going to be a good time right now, we'll go ahead and do that. Be careful here not to step in oil. I lost some oil. For the time being, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up a little bit in case they decide not to go with it. This is going to require a little bit more than what I got here. I'm also going to clean up the housing here. I don't know what the deal is with the paint on the housing here, on the housing face. I'm fairly certain this thing here has been apart before. Like I said, these things are crap. Torque converter, same thing, the pads. Scotch-brite them. If it makes us feel, let me get out of here without stepping in oil. Almost did. If it makes us feel any better, we can go ahead and blast the contact points right there with some fluid film. Can I reach it? Can I reach it? This is actually a sandpaper pad. I'm not pushing on it real hard. The unfortunate truth is that this engine right here, I mean, I'm not a psychic, but I can tell you this engine here, back up. This car here actually went and had a converter replaced. I thought for a minute there the other day, and that's the reason why I had this grin in my face the other day and wasn't going to say anything. I thought somebody may have punched the damn thing out and run it like without the inside, without the guts in the converter, but that's not the case. That the weld looked too clean. I got thinking about it and I thought, nah, the weld looks way too clean. That was a professional replacement that was done, but unfortunately what they didn't do, they didn't fix the problem with the engine to where this don't happen again. And because they didn't fix the problems with the engine, the poor running that is, we're looking at the same thing again. So this thing is starting to clog up, and you know, you can only hammer these things with more fuel, flooding it with fuel or running lean and all that good stuff for so long before something actually tears up again. Realistically, these converters should last a long time, but that is assuming that the engine is breathing correctly and it's doing what it's actually supposed to do or doing what it's designed to do. This one here, I swear is not. There's no way that converter wouldn't look like that if it did, if it was. Alright, I'm going to end the video right here. So we don't get too long, as I said. Those that think I talk too much, get over it. Learn how to use the slider. You can get past that using that slider on the bottom. Just zip forward, done. You know, you can, matter of fact, you get speed controls that lets you go to 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on, X of actual speed, and you go right through it. Pick out the important parts. But I'm going to end the video right here. Thank you guys. Like, subscribe, do what it is you do, and we'll see you on part 4, putting the engine back in here. One more thing real quick. Almost forgot because we can see it so much better right now. These are the hoses that I cut. They were melted to the tube. This one here has actually got a hole where the clamp is, or a tear anyway. I'm going to replace it, and I'm also going to replace this one here. And like I said, now that we can actually see, I'm going to zoom you in there a little bit better, and hopefully we can see it real good. Oh yeah, it's already showing up. That one there, I don't know if it's got a crack or what's going on right in this area here, but it is seeping. In any event, that's the one I had to cut. That's the one that was melted to that fitting. I'm not going to fiddle around over a couple of dollars worth of parts. You know, labor is not that cheap, so figured I had that in there. So what I do in this case here, if you get the factory hoses, they're very, very expensive. You can go to just about any auto parts store, and they will have a Y that'll work with with that size hose, and just use a Y and use hose clamps and do away with the factory made up stuff. Works perfectly fine, guarantee it, done it hundreds of times. I don't buy them expensive assemblies unless I absolutely got to, or the customer requests it. All right, out. I said I'm out. I'm not out. Here, one more time. This here is the reason, well, that's the other reason why we replaced this. I hope this camera is going to focus in on it. Let's see. Let me see if I can focus that in. All right, this is about best I can get. See that inside right there? It's so brittle. That's the plastic on the inside that's actually flaking away on this T. This is part of the T. It just broke off just by me moving it around. I finished it off, so this is the reason why we're replacing it. So we're not just screwing the customer out of money here. Now I'm out.